We're going to start. Would you please be seated? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to get started. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to the 2012 JCC of North America Biennial. It's wonderful to see all of you here in New Orleans, the Big Easy. The Biennial is the place where you, as leaders in your Jewish community, have the opportunity to enhance and build your leadership skills and knowledge. Or as we in the movement like to say, rethink, retool, and transform. Whether it is through the informal learning and sharing that you will do with each other, or through the jam-packed sessions that provide learning opportunities for every leadership style and level of involvement, we promise you that you will return home with a new wealth of knowledge and experience. Although this is called the JCCs of North America, we have JCC leadership here from around the world joining us this year as part of the World Confederation of JCCs. In attendance are leaders from Israel, Russia, Poland, Ukraine, Mexico, Spain, and Argentina. When you see them, please introduce yourselves and personally welcome them to the Biennial. I do want to take a moment to ask our international guests from the International Association of Community Centers to stand up so we can see who you are. Please stand up. Thank you. I now would like to acknowledge this year's Biennial Chair, Gary Jacobs. Gary has done an outstanding job in overseeing and helping to coordinate the plans for the Biennial and will soon be previewing for you everything that we have planned during the next few days. Gary has had the help of the following 3 committees, which have all played critical roles in the development of the Biennial. The first is the JCC Association Board Committee, which met at every board meeting and on a monthly phone calls over the past 2 years to help provide direction for many of the innovations that will take place at this 2012 Biennial. The second is the JCC Association Staff Steering Committee, which met regularly to identify topics, speakers, and content for the programming. The third is the New Orleans Host Committee, which met extensively to make certain that every detail was addressed, from volunteers to the host event to assisting us with numerous tasks, from renting a piano to hiring a photographer and raising the additional financial support to host this Biennial. Gary and his committees have planned an exciting 4 days. I encourage you to take advantage of as many sessions as you can. Most of all, I encourage you to meet other leaders from around the globe, hearing about their experiences and learning from them as well. So let's get started, and please join me in welcoming Gary.
Thank you, Paula. There are over 650 delegates at this year's Biennial, and if we include all the other groups here, there's over 900 of you here today. And I would like to welcome you to the amazing city of New Orleans, the Big Easy, the home of the Jazz Fest, culinary delights, and a city that rebuilt itself after it was almost destroyed by Hurricane Katrina. It is so wonderful to see all of you here as part of the JCCs of North America Biennial. You are about to experience 4 fun-filled days of learning, seeing old friends, and making new ones. The Biennial Committee has listened to recommendations from your JCCs, and we have incorporated major new elements in program content and in the schedule. The various track and learning sessions and seminars will present you with new and innovative ideas on how you can enhance your JCC. These seminars tackle every subject that you as a JCC leader need to deal with at your home JCC. In addition to these seminars, we are pleased and proud to offer keynote presentations by 6 extraordinary people. Dr. Erica Brown, author and scholar-in-residence for the Jewish Federation of Greater Washington. Dr. Scott Cowan, president of the Tulane University. Dr. Rabbi Daniel Hartman, president of the Shalom Hartman Institute and president and director of the Engaging Israel Project. And Chris Brogan, president of Human Business Works, who will help us figure out where social media fits into the JCC communications. And also Tamar Tal and Ben Peter will share their very moving, award-winning Israeli documentary called Life in Stills. You can see an exhibit of photos which you bring to your JCC along with the film in the exhibit hall before and after the screening. You will also see a number of uniformed people throughout the biennial. These are Jewish chaplains and military lay leaders from our armed forces. The Jewish Welfare Board, the JWB Jewish Chaplains Council, is again holding their conference in partnership with the biennial. Among the attendees is one of our own rabbis, Colonel Yanko Goldstein, who is the senior chaplain stationed in New Orleans during the Katrina recovery. The chaplains participate in many of our sessions, as well as having their own seminars, and this year they're playing a key role in facilitating some of our learning seminars. Joining them as honored guests will be senior leaders of the Army, Navy, and Air Force Chaplain Corps. Please make sure to introduce yourselves, say hello, and thank them for the incredible work that they do for our soldiers and sailors at risk. Tonight, you will be able to sample the various flavors offered in New Orleans as you go out to dinner on your own. I'm sure you will enjoy your dining adventures. It's hard to have a bad meal here. On Monday evening, you will also be able to try another great New Orleans restaurant. Make sure to book reservations. As always, there's a lot going on here, and therefore, seating can be tough. Tuesday night, we will be at Tipitina's in the French Quarter for an entertaining host community event. It should be a rockin' good time. In your registration envelope is a blue wristband that you must wear to enter Tipitina's on Tuesday evening. Please do not lose it, throw it away, or try and sell it out on the street. We have also planned stimulating Jewish study, morning workouts, and opportunities for informal mixing and mingling. You will be enriched and energized, we guarantee it. As you can see, there is a lot on the agenda. To make your planning easier, we have created a biennial app. The instructions to download it are on page 5 of the program book, and you will be able to download your selected schedule right to your smartphone. You can also tweet about the biennial right from the app. Our hashtag is #JCCBiennial. And as somebody who comes from a Qualcomm background, feel free to use your cell phones as often as you like. Hosting a complex event like this biennial is a huge amount of work. I'm grateful for the efforts of our superb board and host committee and our outstanding professional staff, both here and in New Orleans and at the JCC Association. I want to thank the leadership and work of all our staff from JCC Association for their tireless efforts in planning and coordinating the biennial. If you see them in the hallway with their staff, please stop and say thank you to them. They do an incredible amount of work to bring this along. I would now like to call on the biennial chairs from New Orleans, Lisa Herman, Morton Katz, and Kathy Shepard, who have worked with their local committee and staff to make the next 4 days very special for all of us.
I get surrounded with beautiful women. Are you having fun yet? How many of you have made it to Jazz Fest so far? I hope you had a good time. You know, New Orleans is a wonderful community. And to welcome you, I want to quote a little phrase from a fellow who used to have a TV show in New Orleans. He's a Cajun man. He had a TV cooking show, and he had he was a Cajun storyteller. His name was Justin Wilson. For us, it's Justin Wilson. And he would come up and, on his show, and he'd begin his show saying, "How y'all are?" Well, I'd like to ask you, how y'all are? It's not something you have to respond to, but it's a great Cajun welcome. So thank you for coming. I'm Morton Katz.
And I'm Lisa Herman.
And I'm Kathy Shepard, and we are
your host community co-chairs for this exciting event.
We're very excited that you've chosen to have the biennial here in New Orleans. We can't imagine it being a bad event because New Orleans is such a wonderful city. I've lived here all my life, and I can't, even when I go away, I have to come back. It's exciting. And you'll have the next 4 days to learn about the latest and greatest in the JCC community, what you can bring back to your own JCCs and teach them. But it's not just a learning experience. This is a fun experience as well, because we have some of the greatest food and some of the greatest entertainment that you can possibly have in any one little place. And we're only 450,000 people here in the city proper, but we act like an old European city, and it's just a fabulous place to live and to be, and we're so delighted for you all 650 of you to be here. Maybe 900, I heard just a little while ago. But in any case, there are some pitfalls in New Orleans. Be careful of the heat, because you know the heat's pretty bad. And also, you might have to take a few of these little pills, these little Tums every once in a while, because the food can be spicy, but it's delicious. One other thing Gary alluded to, on Tuesday night, we have our party that we're giving for all of the Jewish community here, and we hope to see you at Tipitina's in the French Quarter. There's 2 Tipitinas, so be sure to go to Tipitina's in the French Quarter. Lisa?
All right. Well, thank you, Morton. As you all know, or as I hope you're all finding out now that you've been here for either a couple of hours or a couple of days, New Orleans is really unique. We truly are a gumbo in more ways than just our cuisine. Our city boasts a diverse mixture of cultures, all living together. Incredible architecture, art, food, which I'm sure you're experiencing, and an incomparable music scene. And for those of you who've been to the Jazz Fest, you've had a taste of that already. The list just goes on and on. There's so much to do here in New Orleans, and we hope that you have the chance to really get out and explore, but of course only after all of the daily sessions. So where do you go if you have any questions? Well, you can start with the 3 of us. We look forward to welcoming each and every one of you personally. And don't hesitate to stop us if you see us running around. We're never going to be too busy to talk to you, so please stop us and ask us any questions. And if you can't find one of us, we have a wonderful team of volunteers stationed throughout the hotel. They're all wearing bright blue shirts that say, "Where you at?" And that question is exactly the one that they're here to answer for you. They are here to help you figure out where you are, or as we say, where you at. And they're going to help you get to where you need to be. So please don't hesitate to stop them and make their time off from their day jobs worthwhile, because they're really looking for something to do.
On a more serious note, we certainly couldn't have all of you here without thanking you on behalf of the entire New Orleans Jewish community, not just the JCC, for all of the immeasurable support that you showed to us immediately following Katrina and the flooding that followed. We know we would have survived. We're nothing if not a resilient people. But we would not have rebuilt as quickly as we did, and we wouldn't have flourished and gotten back to our pre-Katrina numbers as quickly as we did without all of your support, both your financial support, which certainly was such a boon at that time, but also the emotional support and the outpourings that we received from around the country. So thank you again for everything that you did for us in our time of need. We hope that showing you just a fabulous time during the biennial will help repay that debt in some small way.
We all echo Kathy's sentiments. Thank you so much. But now enough of the serious stuff, and let's move on to a couple of practical tips for you. We want to close with a few notes, a few tips that will help keep you safe and help you have fun while you're here in New Orleans. So the first one is be sure to stay on the crowded streets and stick with groups. It's more fun that way anyway.
Don't carry your valuables or cash with you on the streets. And also, I'm going to add one that we hadn't written down here, but my husband pointed out, be careful with your cell phones because there's a lot of grabbing of cell phones going on.
If someone comes up to you and says, I can bet you where you got your shoes, don't go for it. They'll always say they're on your feet, and you'll lose money.
No glass containers allowed on the street? No problem. Ask your server for a Go Cup and keep the party going.
Again, welcome to New Orleans, and laissez le bon temps rouler.
And the translation for that? Let the good times roll. You got it.
And let's rethink, refuel, and transform together.
We have two local people who will be leading us in the U.S., Canadian, and Israeli national anthems. I'll introduce both of them now, and no doubt you'll know who is who. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Rachel Laufer, who is 11 years old and currently a 5th grade student at Lusher Charter School. Rachel's an excellent student, was elected to the 2012 5th grade Student of the Year at Lusher. She's been acting since 1st grade and has been in several professional productions at the Le Petit Theatre de Vieux-Carré in New Orleans, and she's also sung with the cantor at high holiday services. Rachel was a student in the JCC early childhood programs, and her parents, one of whom is with her today, Liz, is currently active on the JCC board. Her husband, Jeff, was formerly on the JCC board. Rachel will lead us in O Canada. Our other anthem singer will be cantor Jamie Marks, cantor at Touro Synagogue here in New Orleans. He received his investiture from Hebrew Union College in New York this past May. He also recently celebrated his 8-year wedding anniversary with his wife, Anna, who is here today with us, and is the proud father of 2-year-old Eliana. Cantor Marks will lead us in the Star-Spangled Banner and Hatikva. I ask everyone to rise for the anthems.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Kol od balevav pnima nefesh Yehudi homia ufate mizrach kadima ayin letzion Sophia od lo avda tikvatenu hatikva bat shnot alpayim liotam chofshi be'artzenu Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim liot am chofshi be'artzenu Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim. Please be seated.
Before our Devar Torah, I'd like to let you know that during the Biennial, the Torah that we're using came from a synagogue in Somerville, New Jersey. It was acquired and donated by Harriet and George Blank to Beth Israel Synagogue, and I understand that Harriet is here, and we thank you so much, Harriet. The Blanks' generosity came at a special time as Beth Israel lost 7 Torahs through a flood when the synagogue was destroyed by Hurricane Katrina. At the end of this summer, Beth Israel Synagogue will welcome this Torah to its new home, with their newly constructed synagogue in Metairie. And now we're ready to begin our formal program. It's been our tradition to begin with a Devar Torah, and we're honored to have Rabbi Ethan Linden, Rabbi of New Orleans Shir Kadash Conservative Synagogue. Rabbi Linden was ordained at the Jewish Theological Seminary in 2007. Before moving to New Orleans, Rabbi Linden worked at Camp Ramah in New England and at Harvard Hillel. Rabbi Linden, the podium is yours.
It's an honor for me to be here, and I want to begin by thanking Leslie Fishman, who is our wonderful and tremendous local executive director of the JCC, for inviting me, and just to say that she deserves a round of applause just for inviting me, really. That does not count as part of my 4 minutes. The parashah that we will read this upcoming Shabbat is Emor. And one of the great moments in this week's parashah is Vayikra 23, the 23rd chapter of the book of Leviticus, where we will be given, for the first time really, a full and complete version of our holidays, a full calendar to create sacred Jewish time. All of the holidays, from the first holiday, Pesach, through the final holiday in the biblical calendar, Shmini Atzeret. This chapter gives us a sense of what sacred time can look like. And yet, in the midst of this long list of festivals, in the midst of all of the observances and ideas that go along with celebrating the holidays and the sacrifices that we give, in the midst of all of this is a verse that at first seems out of place. When you reap your harvest, the Torah says, right in between the holidays of Shavuot and Rosh Hashanah, when you reap your harvest, do not reap to the corners of your fields. And when you glean in the fields and you leave sheaves behind, don't go back and pick them up. You need to leave those for the poor, the Torah tells us, and the needy. And at first, the incongruity of this really jumps out. Why, in the midst of all these holidays, suddenly a discussion of the poor and the needy? And Rashi, the great medieval commentator, notices this moment. And he does, as he often does, he draws from the Midrash, and Midrash from the Sifra, and he says, Rav Avdimi said in the name of Rav Yosef, why here do we discuss leaving the field for the poor? Why here do we discuss the needs of the needy at the moment of harvest? And the answer, according to Rav Avdimi, son of Rav Yosef, is that those who leave the corners of their field, those who leave forgotten sheaves in their fields for the poor, are accounted as though they built the temple and sacrificed therein. And this is a profound teaching, not just because it helps us understand why there's a discussion of the poor in a moment of holidays, but because it helps us understand something far more important. With the destruction of the temple in the year 70, there was a real question as to whether Judaism could continue. All of the traditions, most of the observances of Judaism in the Bible are focused on the temple, are centered on the sacrificial system, and that is nowhere more true than our holidays. All of our festivals, Pesach, Passover, and Shavuot, and Sukkot, were pilgrimage festivals, and the currency of observance was animal sacrifice. And in the absence of the temple, the question was, can we have sacred time? And Rav Avdimi, the son of Rav Yosef, comes in and says, we can. And the way we rebuild the temple is not with bricks and with mortar. It's not with priests or with animals. It's with the small acts of kindness and commitment that create community. We can't rebuild the temple with our hands, but with our hearts. And those who give to the poor, those who leave sheaves in their field for the needy, are rebuilding what we have lost and allowing sacred time and holiness to continue in the world. And this community, which I was proud to become a part of just a few years ago, knows a little something about rebuilding in the absence of structures, knows a little something about what a committed and kind community can do for itself when the time comes. And what Rav Avdimi, son of Rav Yosef, teaches us is that we don't need a temple for sacred time, and we don't need a temple for sacred space. We need only to take responsibility for the things that we can do to bring holiness and righteousness and justice into the world. No temple, no priests, no animal slaughter, just us and a willingness to leave the corners of our fields for those who need them the most. I wish you a transformative and meaningful biennial. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Linden, for those inspiring words and for helping to set the tone for our next few days together. Much of our biennial will look at the mission of the JCC. Jewish education has been a priority for us since COMG, the Commission on Maximizing Jewish Educational Effectiveness of Jewish Community Centers, was developed in the 1980s and led by Mort and Mandel. I'm now honored to call on Mort, who will present this year's Mort and L. Mandel Jewish Educational Award. Mort is a Jewish leader of international stature and an extraordinary philanthropist. He is a past president of the Cleveland JCC and Federation and past chair of the JCC Association and the Council of Jewish Federations. In 2004, we honored Mort for 50 years on our board. Sounds like we're coming up on 60 years on our board pretty soon here, in San Diego, no less. We present the Mort and L. Mandel Jewish Educational Leadership Award to an individual or an institution that has made a significant contribution to the enhancement of Jewish education in Jewish community centers throughout North America. Past recipients have been Professor Barry Hazan, the Florence Melton Adult Mini School, the JCC Chicago, the 92nd Street Y, and the Avi High Foundation. The Jewish Educational Leadership Award was first presented in 1998 to Mort himself, and in recognition of his efforts to enhance Jewish education in JCCs throughout North America, the award was then renamed in his honor. Mort, please come on up.
The 2012 recipient of the Mort Mandel Jewish Education Leadership Award is Rabbi Alvin Mars. Alvin, do you want to? In a moment, I'm going to read some notes about Alvin's accomplishments. Before I do, I want to make some personal remarks about who Alvin is, how he defines himself. I'm going to read to you some comments I have here about what he's done. But I just would like to take this opportunity to share while Alvin is standing here, feeling uncomfortable. So I'm going to talk about a few of his qualities. First, intellectual firepower. In my years of working with Alvin, knowing Alvin, and some of you also share this, I'm sure, he is an awesome conceptual thinker. He comes up with new ideas, innovation. We had a lecture about leadership this morning. Leaderships are supposed to enlarge our vision, help us see what we can be. Alvin does that. Values, second, values. Alvin's values, in my view, are the best of Western civilization. All the things you know, integrity, honesty, intellectual honesty, generosity, kindness, decency, respect. Third, I'm going to use another word, which I think is pure Alvin Mars, passion. Alvin brings passion. I worked most closely with Alvin on Jewish education. But that's the way he is viewed by so many people who know him. And one more I'm going to mention, which is true Alvin Mars, work ethic. Alvin works hard. Alvin, to me, I've reviewed some things that I think describe you only partially. I'm sure there's other things that can be said about you. But you must get the idea that I like you very much. So let me read to you about his background. Alvin's career incorporates work in almost every educational setting. In Los Angeles, he was director of Camp Ramah, and also established the Ramah Academy, a Jewish education outreach program. Alvin served as vice president for academic affairs at the University of Judaism and was founding dean of the Fingerhut School of Education. He was the founding director of the American Hebrew Academy in North Carolina, the nation's first pluralistic Jewish boarding high school. So more recently, Alvin joined the JCC Association in 2002 as the first director of the Mandel Center for Jewish Education, where he created a variety of innovative programs for JCC campers, camp directors, and adult members of JCCs. And I personally sat through a lot of those meetings, and that's where I think, Alvin, I really got to know you best and said all these nice things about you. Although he was retired 3 years ago, he continues to serve the Jewish world even today, and I'm going to get the award and read some of it. Can you see this? And the inscription is, 2012 Mort L. Mandel Jewish Education Leadership Award, presented to Rabbi Dr. Alvin Mars. Ladies and gentlemen, Alvin Mars.
I knew things were going to be all right, and that I had found a real partner in Mort Mandel. When, the first year that I came, it was only called the Center for Jewish Education. But after that first year, it looked like things were really going to be good. So we were allowed to call it the Mandel Center. And that was a great thrill to me at that point. It meant a great deal. And I'm honored and thrilled to be named the recipient of the Mort L. Mandel Jewish Education Leadership Award. That means so much to me. This recognition of the work that really we all have done here in the JCC family together, and especially those of us involved in the Mandel Center. This work of over the past years to root Jewish learning, Jewish experience, and Jewish vision in JCCA and in its many components, and especially in its day and resident camps, is something that will not just be on my wall, but that will be in my heart. It means a lot to me, to my wife, Marilyn, and to our children and grandchildren. I discovered, Mort, this past week, that I really do deserve the award. And the reason and the way I discovered it is because of all the work that we had established, we were learning with people all over the country on the phone. I thought, what a good idea to do that and how we can impact and change people. So I began learning with my grandchildren on the phone. They live all over the United States, in Los Angeles, Columbus, and even in Durham. In fact, I learn with them via Skype. And I was so happy because I would be able to learn face-to-face with my grandson, who's now 9 in New Hampshire, but I could do that face-to-face with him. And he didn't want to learn face-to-face with me. He wanted to learn by Skype, like his cousins. So I was driving him home from religious school this past week, and I told him about this. And he said, "Oh, you really deserve that." "I know, because I'm your student." So he knows, he said. And during my years at the Mandel Center, I've tried to be a teacher to so many of you. And I thank you all for believing, along with Wolf, that I deserve this honor. Thank you so much. However, this award really does give me the opportunity to do something I've wanted to do for a very long time, and that is to express my appreciation to those of you with whom I have worked to accomplish our unique Jewish educational mission here. When I came to JCCA more than a decade ago, my colleague and friend, who became my boss, remained my colleague and friend as well, Alan Finkelstein, said to me that this position as the director of the Mandel Center had the potential to be the capstone to my long career in Jewish education. His very words. Well, Alan, it was indeed a capstone to my career, but it was much, much more than that. I quickly figured out that all my experiences as a Jewish educator and a Jewish institutional leader had simply been prologue. That is, preparation for what was to become the most meaningful, important, and significant part of the work I've been blessed to do for the Jewish people during my years here at JCCA. I thank you for trusting me and empowering me to do this work and introducing me to and involving me with so many great people. First and foremost of all those people, I thank you especially for bringing me together with Mort Mandel. Were it not for my JCCA capstone, I would never have had the opportunity to know Mort, to be inspired by him, and to work so closely together with him for so many years. And Mort, I'm especially thankful to you for this recognition as the recipient of the Morton L. Mandel Award, for two reasons at least. First, I'm thankful because the award carries your name, and that means a great deal to me. In the world of Jewish education and leadership, the name Morton Mandel means excellence. It's what it means, excellence. And I'm proud to have it and you connected to me for the rest of my life in this most meaningful way. Second, you are right here in front of me. My words here are, you're up on the stage, but I couldn't hold on to you. So you're right here in front of me, and you can't escape. So this moment gives me the opportunity to tell you publicly how important you have been in my life. Your Hebrew name, as you wrote to me when I asked you, I was wondering if you were wondering why I was asking your Hebrew name, is Mendel Leib. I thought about what your parents thought when they named you Mendel Mandel. But, well, there's a very famous statement about the Rambam, Moses Maimonides, which states that from Moses to Moses, there was none like Moses. From Moses of the Bible to Moses of Maimonides, there was none like Moses. I was sort of hoping your Hebrew name was Moses, actually. I couldn't help thinking, though, when you told me what your name was, that it was attached to another Mendel, the famous and great 19th century Yiddish and Hebrew author who helped to revitalize our Hebrew and Yiddish culture, Mendel Mocher Sfarim, Mendel, the purveyor of books. So I attach your name to his, and I say, from Mendel to Mendel, there was none like Mendel. You, of course, are not a purveyor of Jewish books. You've had something to do with a number of them, but that's not what you really do. In my opinion, you are Mendel Mocher Chezionot. You are Mendel, the purveyor of Jewish vision. And what an important thing that is. You have vision, you share vision, you lead with vision, and ultimately what you really have been doing your whole life, certainly here at JCCA, but I know the work that you've done around the world and in Jerusalem and in Israel, you teach vision. One of the foci of your life's vision has been improving the Jewish future through thoughtful, reflective Jewish education and through the development of visionary Jewish leadership. And I am thankful to have been one of those, to have been chosen to help you spread your vision through the creative work you and I did together at the Mandel Center for Jewish Education at JCCA. Permit me also to thank the lay leaders and colleagues with whom I worked at JCCA. They too have inspired me, and their trust, support, and kindnesses have been so important to me. To Jerome Mikowski, chair of the Mandel Center for Jewish Education during my tenure, to Ed Kaplan and Alan Solo, the JCCA chairs under whom I served, to my colleagues on the cabinet during the years of my tenure, to Lenny Rubin, Alav Hashalom, Robin Ballin, Arnie Sohinki, Bob Dietz, Bob Kimzel, Fanny Magnus Monson, and Alan Mann, and to the other members of our talented Continental staff, I say Toda Rabbah. I want to express a very special word of appreciation to all the Jewish educators who serve with such distinction in our JCCs and who do so much to elevate the level of Jewish learning and identity in our communities. It's also important to me to acknowledge my friends and colleagues, the resident and day camp directors of our field. And I want to thank them for the important Jewish educational work they do. It's only one division of everything we do here at JCCA, but we touch 80,000 souls through them. What a wonderful, wonderful thing. And finally, I want to thank all of you for your support of our JCCs and our JCCA. Through your investment of time, your lives, your resources, you too are helping to shape the Jewish future. I'm proud to receive this award. I'm proud to be part of your family, and I'm delighted to be able to be back again within the family. Mort, thank you so very much. A little interlude.
Thank you, Mort, and Yashikoa to you, Alvin, on this very special recognition. This year, we're celebrating a... Whoop. Okay. This year, we're celebrating a special milestone, the 30th anniversary of the JCC Maccabi Games. I'm pleased to call upon the current chair of the Continental Governing Body for the JCC Maccabi Games, Ed Cohen, who will help us begin our celebration.
Thank you, Gary, and good afternoon, everybody. I've had the honor and privilege of serving as the chair of the Continental Governing Body of the JCC Maccabi Games for the past 4 years. Each summer, I watch the procession of athletes during opening ceremonies and take tremendous pride in this signature program. We have learned that the Games have lifelong positive effects on the participants, enhancing their identity as Jews and connection with their heritage and culture. As past chair of the JCC Maccabi Games in Boca Raton, I can attest to the energizing effect that hosting the Games has on a community. We hope every community represented here will consider hosting the Games in the future. And if you haven't had the opportunity to experience the excitement of the JCC Maccabi Games, we invite you to join us this summer in Memphis, Rockland County, or Houston. Pirkei Avot teaches us that at age 30, one receives strength. This summer, we celebrate the 30th anniversary of the JCC Maccabi Games, which had its start in Memphis in 1982. And we can feel the wisdom of those words when we consider the strength that the Games have offered to the JCC movement. The following is a video that will give us a little bit of history and take us down memory lane and give you all a taste of this very special program.
The year was 1982, and the world was changing. A trio of dream girls took over Broadway. Thriller was playing on a brand new gadget known as a CD player, and an extraterrestrial dominated the box office. Meanwhile, in Memphis, Tennessee, 300 Jewish teens were about to become pioneers in their own right, introducing us to a new, innovative blend of athletics and Jewish culture known as JCC Maccabi. It was an instant success, and as the Games grew in size, stature, and visibility year after year, new host communities around North America were inspired to become part of the JCC Maccabi legacy.
I'm shuffling.
Even if you play tournament ball or the best level, you couldn't get an experience like this.
It was so amazing.
We're losing, but we're having a lot of fun. Games are
It's really fun.
I think it's awesome.
It's good. You meet so many people, and it's awesome.
We love it. We absolutely love it. I've had the greatest time. I met so many people.
The opening ceremony was wonderful. They treated us like kings.
Opening ceremonies was amazing. They made a torch out of ice.
Yes, there was always a high priority on quality competition. But through the years, JCC Maccabi has never forgotten that its mission is about more than playing the game. It's about Jewish values and Jewish relationships, trading pins, sharing stories, community service, and community building. It's about Rachmanis, or compassion, as much as it is about competition. In 2006, JCC Maccabi began moving to a fresh rhythm and soundtrack with the introduction of JCC Maccabi Arts Fest. With the addition of actors, dancers, singers, musicians, and artisans, now fields, courts, studios, and stages were filled with inspired Jewish teens sharing their talents, sharing their Jewish journeys. It has been exciting to follow some of the accomplishments and unique paths alums have traveled since their JCC Maccabi experience. For instance, before Lenny Kraselberg won 4 gold medals in the Olympics, he won gold in the JCC Maccabi Games. As Brett Lowenstern rose through the elimination trials on American Idol, he never forgot his start at JCC Maccabi Arts Fest. And before actor Jason Segel was walking the red carpet at the Academy Awards, he was leading Team Los Angeles into opening ceremonies of the 1996 JCC Maccabi Games and leading his basketball team to a gold medal. So here we are in 2012, and after 30 years, over 130,000 athletes and artists, over 500,000 volunteers and spectators. The JCC Maccabi movement wrote a new and exciting chapter when it brought the Games and Arts Fest to Israel. It was the realization of a dream and a fitting way to kick off our celebratory year as we commemorate the 30th anniversary of JCC Maccabi.
It's 4-0. I don't want to embarrass them. I want to play possession, okay? And show them who you are. This is a great experience, and probably a lot of them will bring their family later on in life to see what is Israel and what it's all about.
There are many ways to calculate the enormous impact that the JCC Maccabi Games and Arts Fest have had over the past 30 years. We can count how many involved Jewish leaders found their Jewish identity at the Games. Or how about how many JCC members, volunteers, and donors found their reason to be engaged in their own JCCs? How many host communities realized a motivation and inspiration that lasted long after the Games? Or ultimately, how many teens now lived engaged Jewish lives after participating in JCC Maccabi? The impact continues, and many more stories are yet to be written.
It's about friends, and it's about relationships, and about meeting people from all around the world.
It's been amazing.
Breathtaking.
There's nothing else that we do that has as much impact on teaching people or helping young kids develop Jewish identities than the JCC Maccabi Games.
Maccabi is the greatest thing I ever been. It's amazing.
And you guys had more heart. You guys wanted it. Nobody wanted it more. And you guys showed it out there. You left everything out there. I'm so proud of you.
This is an amazing opportunity to teach Jewish teens about Klal Yisrael, bringing them together as Jews to compete in friendly competition.
I got to experience my Jewish identity in a different way than I ever have before, and it's just such a good experience that everyone should go.
Everyone should do it, yeah.
We were able to build a brand that is going to last the test of time. JCC Maccabi.
16 years and I still get goosebumps. Please join me in welcoming one of the game's most notable alumni, four-time Olympic gold medalist, president and CEO of the Lenny K. Swim Academy, Lenny Kraselberg.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I want to congratulate JCC Association for 30 years of this unique event. I personally took part in it in 1990 and 92, and it had a tremendous impact on my life. That's one of the reasons why I'm still involved and honored to be involved. I came to United States just in 1989, so I didn't really have much of Jewish identity or Jewish culture growing up in Soviet Union. This was the first exposure for me. The JCC Maccabi Games really gave me an opportunity to learn about Jewish heritage, about Jewish culture, about giving back, about respect, about all those things that are so important growing up. And I know, as this video mentioned, it has been thousands, hundreds of thousands of kids that have been impacted. And I hope all of you guys, all of us, will continue to support this incredible event moving forward. I also want to mention something that is really important. This summer is going to be 40 years since the tragedy that happened in Munich in 1972. And JCC of Rockland started an incredible cause. They're trying to get the Olympic Committee to have a moment of silence at the Olympic Games this summer in London to recognize the Israeli athletes that were killed in '72. So I encourage all of you guys to stop by the exhibit hall at the JCC of Rockland booth and learn more about the petition, where you can sign in and encourage all of your friends, your communities, to sign this petition so this vision can really happen in London, because those people really deserve that. That's it. Thank you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed and Lenny. What an exciting time to be celebrating this 30-year milestone for the JCC Maccabi Games. Well, we're going to do something new at this biennial, using new technology to take the pulse of the JCC movement on a few topics of interest to all of us. You received a question by email prior to the biennial, which you may have entered on the Biennial app. For those of you who may not remember, here's the question. In choosing films to show or plays to present, JCCs should: A, screen good films, whether or not they are funded by organizations or individuals known to be critical of Israel. Choose only those films or plays that present Israel and Jews in a positive light. Show well-made films on controversial topics only if the opposing point of view is presented at the same time, or avoid any film or play that might spark controversy. Well, let's take a look at the results. May I have the envelope, please? The results are in. The respondents were split evenly between screening good films regardless of who funded them and showing films on controversial topics if both points of view are presented. It is worth noting that only 1% said we should avoid any film that might spark controversy. So thank you very much for those of you who participated in that particular question. So our question for today is, considering the changing nature of JCC membership and Jewish communities, JCCs should allow anyone to serve on their boards and be officers, restrict lay leadership to Jewish members only, restrict positions on board to people who have traveled to Israel, or restrict officers to people who contribute to the local federation. You can respond to this question by going to your Biennial app in the guidebook and selecting the icon that says Sunday's Biennial Question. If you don't have a smartphone, you can vote at the Biennial registration desk. And remember, the more responses, the better the information. So please take it out or go vote. Well, it's now my privilege to invite Alan Finkelstein, the President and CEO of JCC Association, to the podium. All of you know who Alan is. But it is important for you to know that in his role as president of JCC Association, Alan helps to shape our agenda, vision, and mission. This afternoon, he'll help frame the content of the biennial so that you can make the most of your participation. Please welcome Alan.
Two years ago, I stood before you and I said that this is our moment to claim a central place for the Jewish Community Center in the new and quickly evolving landscape of North American Jewish life. I posed the question, what kind of Jewish lives do people want to lead, and how can we make it possible for them to do so? I challenged us to have 1,000 Jewish conversations to answer that question. Behind me is the page of Jewish JCC Talmud that was before you just 2 years ago. Well, my friends, thanks to the initiation and leadership of our Metropolitan Executives Group, we have had those conversations and many more. We've drafted and vetted a new vision and statement of principles for this Jewish Community Center movement, which I'm so proud to lead. I thank over 30 JCC boards who took the time to go over the proposed language, and all of the other groups, including colleagues in Israel, who joined with them. Every person who participated felt energized by the experience of discussing the statement, which truly captures the commonality of JCCs and also our tremendous diversity. At various points in our history, we have joined together to adopt statements of vision and principles. And at this biennial, at this very unique moment, we will again do so. For too many years, the world outside has defined what the JCC is, what it can do, and what box it fits in. We all know that the neat little package theory of life, or Jewish life, just isn't valid today. We've moved into a post-denominational, post-rabbinic period in Jewish history. We have so many options as human beings and as Jews that just didn't exist when JCCs were first imagined. As a movement, we've certainly been resilient programmatically, and we've learned to manage our businesses and deal with the pressures of funding in a rapidly changing reality. But we've been tentative in boldly redefining the JCC and then powerfully acting on it together. 2 years ago, I spoke of rewriting the rules of engagement. I still believe that the unwritten rules by which the Jewish community functions are outdated and frankly not meaningful in building Jewish life and engaging Jews. It's time to create a new set of realities on the ground. The time for conversation and process is over. Now we need to do. This isn't a defensive or reactive stance. This early part of the 21st century requires clarity of purpose and a confidence in our ability to deliver, and unlike the world in which I was raised, less process and more willingness to risk. We have to be able to put it out there and be ready to pivot when necessary. As I met with nearly 1,000 people to discuss our new statement of principles, many significant points of discussion consistently arose, no matter the size or location of the JCC. I want to share those that were the most interesting and were at the center of the conversations. At our core, we are about Jewish life. That has been the case since the beginning, and it will not change. Our new vision speaks of helping people create lives of individual meaning and purpose, and helping them in finding the answer to what kind of Jewish lives they want to lead. We have a significant role to play in both the Jewish community and relating to the larger community around us, and we need to make that clear. When JCCs first referred to this role in their mission statements, it was considered radical and inappropriate. No longer. Our relationship to Israel is central to the JCC. We have a key role to play in dealing with and defining a new diaspora Israel reality. We'll hear much more from Rabbi Hartman on Tuesday, and we'll share in viewing a very special film, A Life in Stills, that I promise will touch you in many unexpected ways. Every group and every leader agreed that the JCC can be a primary destination for Jewish life. It's important that we're all able to articulate what this means to those who will challenge us. JCCs must provide an opportunity for conversations of divergent views, and we just heard the results of the question. All of the debate about blocking films and plays that may be controversial emphasizes the need for JCCs to be that living room, that community space, where people know they can express their thoughts on difficult and divisive issues. Because we are welcoming spaces, we have a special opportunity and responsibility to engage the full range of opinions within the Jewish community. So what have we learned through these conversations that truly defines what we have in common and articulates the critical elements of the 21st century JCC? We're conveners of conversations about Jewish life and Israel, even when expressed points of view may be controversial. We're connectors. We help people find their way in Jewish life, whether through the JCC programs or opening the door to the rich variety of options to help them lead lives of meaning and purpose without prescribing what that way is. We're community builders, both of the larger Big C Jewish community and many smaller communities who come together at the JCC. We're caring communities, both internally as well as externally to the larger community, acting on the highest of Jewish values. Tomorrow, Dr. Scott Cowan will share his very unique and successful approach to transforming Tulane University as a truly caring community. The vision and statement of principles has been 15 months in the making. What you see and what is in the publication that you'll receive at the end of this plenary is truly a reflection of not only the people in this room, but our entire JCC movement. As we did in 1990, we ask that each of you sign this document, which will be near the registration desk throughout the biennial and will become a permanent part of the history of the JCC movement, as is the 1990 statement that hangs in our headquarters in New York. And we invite you in classic Jewish tradition to begin writing a new page of JCC Talmud, a commentary that will be available throughout the biennial on various computers and on your biennial app, and will continue online after the biennial. We will continue this exciting conversation. Each of our former JCC Association scholars and residents, along with key Jewish thinkers and leaders, has shared comments on the statement, offering their support and endorsement. You can see their comments behind me, including one from Erica Brown, who will inspire us to become commentators of our own JCC Talmud. How can we bring this statement to life? What tools will JCCs need? How can it be a continental statement but still reflect local uniqueness and reality? We encourage you to actively discuss not only the statement, but how you can make it come alive in your local JCC. The interpretation that you bring will necessarily reflect your local community's culture. We'll continually share interesting new approaches to the JCC's role in Jewish life as JCCs share them with us as they consider and implement this vision. The boards that I met with all said how much they enjoyed the strategic and philosophical conversation, which was so different from the nuts and bolts and financial discussion that have characterized most board meetings, especially over the past few difficult years. It's clear that each JCC has to find the right point to start the conversation, but we must commit that we will all be a part of this effort to not only make clear who and what we mean to the Jewish community, but to actively pursue a variety of approaches to touching more and more Jews. Let's make it our collective goal that by the next biennial, we will make several things happen in pursuit of this new vision. That each JCC will strive towards a much deeper penetration into the Jewish community through new models of engagement. It's an essential story that we must be able to tell funders, that we touch a larger and larger percentage of Jews. That each JCC will clearly define its relationship to Israel through many ongoing strategies, from the addition of a young shaliach to your staff, to planning a membership trip to Israel through our new JCC boarding pass, to committing to ongoing staff and lay seminars in Israel. Israel must be ever present as an idea and a vision of Jewish peoplehood, and it's so much more than a topic of political conversation. And that each JCC will become a model of excellence in early childhood and camping, embracing our new Sheva JCC Early Childhood Excellence program that's being rolled out here at the Biennial, and by participating actively in our efforts to strengthen and position the JCC Day Camp as a critical and impactful part of Jewish life, and to significantly improve the quality of our day camp programs. That each JCC, and many do already, will strategize a means of opening its doors to conversations about difficult issues in Jewish life, positioning us as the one place in the community where varying points of view can be presented without threat. People need to know that they can come both to learn and to dialogue. We already do this through book festivals, film festivals, lectures, and more. We'll be actively working to support JCC Jewish film festivals and position the JCC as their home. We're no longer in a denominational world. There is no one Judaism. Let's recognize reality and actively find points of commonality and innovative means to bring unengaged, unconnected Jews into Jewish communal life. We have generations of Jews now who feel no loyalty to our traditional institutional model. They're creating their own models, their own ways to be Jewish, and some of those ways may make some of us uncomfortable. But we have to adapt to them because they've made it clear that they won't adapt to us. Last week, an article in Haaretz suggested that Judaism is going through its early iPod stage. That time when a revolution is underway but has not yet taken over. The author believes that Jews are no longer interested in an arranged marriage with Judaism, that they want to date for a while and see if they fall in love. In other words, they want to be seduced. Jewish institutions must woo them, win their affection and commitment every day, and never take them for granted. It's often said that innovations that constitute true paradigm shifts almost always come from new players in the market, like the iPod, not from a market's dominant companies. This article suggests that the Jewish innovation sector accelerated its transition from iPod to iPad so that a new network of Jewish institutions organized around new ways of being Jewish can take over before the old system collapses. Harvard Business School professor Clayton Christensen in The Innovator's Dilemma indicates that large companies become prisoners of their current customers. Even though they might see major change coming, there is never a moment in time where it makes economic sense to divert resources from products that are selling well in order to invest enough in more speculative, disruptive innovation. By the time it's clear that disruptive innovation is going to win the day, it's too late for traditional institutions to pivot. How does this apply to us? Are our current customers, as loyal and generous as they are, keeping us from attracting new ones? JCCs must take some risk of displeasing some people that we've been going steady with and respond to the cultural change that's clearly occurring. The JCC need not be left behind as old and unwilling to adapt. We can get to the iPad stage. We need to recognize how profoundly we must change. If we continue to play by the old rules of engagement, our chances of success diminish. This is an opportunity, an imperative, and a moment that can pass us by if we don't respond. I'm not worried. There's true brilliance in this JCC movement. We know how to adapt to what our community wants and needs. We've done it before. When immigrant Jews needed us to help them become Americans, we were there. When suburban Jews needed a Jewish neighborhood, we were there. And when today's young Jewish families figure out what they need us to be, what kind of Jewish lives they want to lead, we'll be there for them too. We're much more than implementers, although we're very good at it. We must present ourselves as thought leaders in our communities and nationally. Social media provides us many opportunities for daily dialogue about all kinds of issues. JCC leaders must write, speak, and participate. Making this vision and statement of principles real requires every person in this room to seize the moment. It's a huge opportunity, both locally and continentally, to develop a strategy to have an ongoing conversation about the steps necessary to create that reality on the ground and leave no questions or mistaken generalities about the power and the place of the JCC in Jewish life. I invite you to join me both personally and as JCC leaders in realizing this vision together. My friends, this is truly our moment if we seize it. It would be most appropriate and meaningful if we ratified this together by standing and singing the prayer that's ours to say when we reach moments like this, the Shehecheyanu. Please stand and join with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen. Thank you. It's now my pleasure to introduce our honorary chair, Ann Kaufman of Houston, Texas, and my first board chair, to introduce our guest speaker.
We're very fortunate to have Dr. Erica Brown as our keynote speaker for our opening plenary. Dr. Brown is a writer and an educator. Currently, she is scholar in residence for the Jewish Federation of Greater Washington and is consultant for the Jewish Agency and other Jewish organizations. She's authored many books and writes a weekly internet essay called Weekly Jewish Wisdom that has appeared on Newsweek and Washington Post website on faith. Dr. Brown is on the faculty of the Wexner Foundation, and she's an Avi Fellow and a recipient of many, many awards. She lectures on subjects of Jewish interest and leadership. It's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Erica Brown to set the stage for our role as Jewish leaders in today's world. Dr. Brown.
So I'm not sure if you know what plenary means in Latin. It means a very, very long meeting. So I want to be thoughtful of what it means to come at the end of a very long meeting. And I wanted to take something that Alan said in brilliantly portraying a statement of principles and what it means to sign on to a statement of principles and what it means to make any document a living document. We actually as Jews know a whole lot about that. When I was a senior in high school, the Israeli Ministry of Tourism came out with a poster. Many of you may have seen this poster. It was a test tube that was encased in an ancient pottery shards, and it said, "Our future is where our past is." And for many of us, the experience of going to Israel is that constant collusion of past, present, and future, which is so energizing. I want to take some time, a little bit of time today, to do a little bit of learning with you. And I beg your patience for 15 minutes on a crash course in Talmud. Because in many ways, the Talmud is the living document, not quite a statement of principles, but discussions and debates of law that have formed and continue to form who we are, even if you haven't opened a page of it. This year, we watched a very sad moment. We closed up the Encyclopedia Britannica. By a show of hands, how many of you, as children, grew up with an Encyclopedia Britannica. Now I'm going to ask a different question. How many of you have ever read the Encyclopedia Britannica? Don't show off. The fact is, I remember growing up in a professional middle-class home, and I remember the day we got our Britannica. And it was a real statement. It wasn't so much a statement about opening it up and reading it. It was a statement of its existence and the centrality of learning in our home. And so the Talmud is interesting because if I ask the question, and I won't, how many of you own a set of Talmud? I reckon that the hands would be far fewer. And yet, although we've closed off hard copy publishing of the Britannica, the Talmud has been printed and reprinted for 2,000 years in various forms. After the Holocaust, the US Army made one with the picture of the Auschwitz gates on the cover, on the frontispiece. This is a document which lives and relives and is constantly generative. In fact, a few years ago, I was at the Library of Congress inauguration of the entire Schottenstein Talmud. For the past 15 years, every 9 weeks, a translation of the Talmud was produced. 15 years, every 9 weeks, a volume of the Talmud was translated and available for sale. Last year, many of you celebrated a significant moment, when Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz completed a 40-year project of translating the Talmud, which is an Aramaic document, into Hebrew. I'm going to ask Peter if you could put up the page of Talmud, and I want to take you through a page of this document and then talk a little bit about its relevance to us today. So on this page of Talmud, you'll see, let's see, is that working? Ooh, okay. This is the middle. You saw Alan's page of Talmud. It looked a little different than this. And here in the Big Easy, we're going to talk about the big difficult. What makes learning the Talmud difficult? So first of all, learning the Talmud. Are we good? All right, great. All right, the middle column is an Aramaic document. And Aramaic is an admixture of Hebrew and Aramaic, and it's complicated, it's hard to read, and it has no punctuation, which means that when you're debating and studying Talmud, one of the things you're going to argue about is where sentences start and where they stop. What are they arguing about? They're arguing about the Mishnah. The Mishnah is a small passage of oral law. Be patient, be with me. It's a small passage of oral law that was transmitted through memorization. It comes from the Hebrew shana, which means to learn and to learn by rote. We know the expression, vishinantam livanecha. You should teach it to your children. That's the process of learning something by rote. And people memorize Mishnah, and they do so to today. My nephews actually are in contests where they memorize Mishnah, and they know literally thousands of them. This document was studied and memorized. Not only small passages of law that were the Mishnah, but the Gemara, which is the commentary on the Mishnah, which may be pages long. Paragraph of Mishnah, lengthy pages of Gemara. Together, the Mishnah and the Gemara constitute the Talmud. The word Gemar in Aramaic means learn. The word Talmud is another version of learning, the word learning. So altogether, all of these words are words about learning. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen this done, but I have seen the pin test done, and I'm not sure if you know what the pin test is. But in the pin test, someone who memorizes Talmud puts a pin on one word of Talmud and then can tell you every single word that appears beneath it. Every single word. If you've never seen it, you can't imagine that it can be done, and I've seen it done. So the pin test, that's done on the Talmud. When people memorize pages of the Talmud, they tell me that after the first 50 pages, it's easy. Okay, now we're going to look at, this is the page of Talmud. Talmud has what we call a folio page, which is page 25 is front and back, 25A and 25B. So all Talmuds start with actually page 2. What you're going to have on the sides, the inside is Rashi, the outside is Tosfot. Rashi, French medieval commentary from the 11th century, also a Vintner. takes lines of the Talmud that we're having difficulty understanding, translates them often into Old French, or explains concepts to us. Rashi has daughters, his daughters marry scholars, and they become the core group of what will be hundreds of scholars who write what we call the Tosfot. Tosfot are ideas that appear not on the page of Talmud that Rashi unlocks, but all across the Talmud. So it was common in schools of study in France and Germany, what we called Ashkenaz, to have a small coterie of scholars. Each of them was studying a separate tractate of Talmud. They got together, and one of them taught the main tractate of Talmud, and they poured in ideas from different places where they were studying. They made it come alive, and they questioned concepts that appeared in multiple places. Something happened, though, that really changed what we call the Tosfot, which are additions. Something happened in 1242, I don't know how many of you know, that in 1240, the Talmud was put on trial. The Pope put the Talmud on trial for any statements that were anti-Christian. The Pope found the Talmud guilty, and 24 cartloads of handwritten Talmuds were burned in the central square in Paris. This decimated Talmud learning, and after 1242, many Tosfot are actually recreations or restatements of scholarship that came beforehand, simply in the role of preservation. So the burning of the Talmud has its own interesting history, and I invite you to look that up in Encyclopedia Judaica. What do we have in these other documents? Here we have 11 and 12, if you see 11 and 12. Every biblical statement that appears in the Talmud has a little, this is called the Torah Or, and in the 18th century, Rabbi Boaz put together a special referencing guide to cross-reference any place in Bible that's cited in the Talmud, any place in any other place where a concept appears in Talmud, and right here, if you look on this side, this is where rabbinic ideas or Jewish law is produced in, based on Maimonides, Rabbi Moshe of Kutzi, and one other scholar. So what you have here is a cross-referencing guide, these little places along the side of the page which help you understand where you can go for the next piece of information, how this debate continued beyond the days the Talmud was edited. The Talmud, the Mishnah, is basically a product of 2nd century Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel. The Talmud, as we know it, the Gemara, was redacted by Ravina and Rav Ashi, two scholars in Babylon in the 6th century. How did they do it? How did they do it without a computer? Well, what they did is there were passages that came from academies all over Israel and the ancient Near East, and they were pastiched together. And so when you're studying a page of Talmud, you'll start with one argument, and you may go into another argument, and you may list everything that a minor rabbinic figure says. And the fact is, you know how Jews love to argue? We don't even have to argue with living people, because the Talmud brings together people who don't live in the same geographic area and who don't live in the same century. What you're looking at is roughly 500 years of debate. Imagine for a moment, and I love this thought, imagine that Shakespeare got in an argument with Picasso, who had some comments to make on something that Einstein said, and then wondered for a few minutes how Rembrandt would have thought about it. I want to tell you that that is the amazing document that the Talmud is. Now, many of you are saying to yourself, this isn't a living document for me. I don't know Aramaic. I can't read this page. Although I'm a Jewish leader and I'm here in this room, I don't have any literacy in this document. I want to tell you what makes this document living. About a century ago, roughly, a rabbi scholar had a vision. He said, I wonder what would happen if I could get everyone to study one page of Talmud a day. And he was laughed at. It's called Daf Yomi. Daf is a page, folio front and back. One page a day, Daf Yomi. What would it take to get everybody to study Daf Yomi? And people laughed at him. This August, I believe it's August 1st, is the Siyum Hashas, the completion of the studying of the Talmud. And you cannot get a ticket to it. unless you have a lot of money and a lot of good connections. Because this year at the Meadowlands, I don't know if it's at the Superdome, but at the Meadowlands and in stadiums all over, and Madison Square Garden, and in stadiums all over the world, in Australia, in South America, in South Africa, they will complete the 7-year process of learning Talmud 1 page a day, and tens of thousands of people will have completed it because someone said, this must remain a living document. You can burn it, you can censor it, you can shorten it, condense it, whatever you do to it, it will live on in the hearts and minds of people. And do you know why? Because it's not a definitive document. It doesn't say this is what you have to do. It's a conversational document. It's a document that invites you to argue and be part of the conversation. Rabbi Joseph Soloveitchik, who used to run Yeshiva University's rabbinic program, describes the process of learning. And he says, when I'm sitting and studying, the Rambam, Maimonides, is on my left, and Rashi is on my right, and Rabbeinu Tam is in front of me. These are the people who occupy our world, and they continue to occupy our world. So if you're on the Long Island Railroad, you can go in the Daf Yomi car, because people will be studying it there. You can have what we call not an iPod, but a Shas pod, where you can study Talmud and it's downloaded through the internet. You can be on a bus in Muncie and you can study it. You can dial a 1-800 number. And I invite you to Google Daf Yomi and see how many ways you could study the Talmud if you wanted to study it. You have come up with a statement of principles, and Alan has made a request of you. He wants that to be a living document. How do you do that? You do that not because it's a reference Britannica that sits on a shelf. It's because you argue about what it says. You don't take anything for granted. You make the words living because they're part of you. You memorize them, you recite them, you discuss them, you debate them, and that's what it takes to become a living document. In the end of Deuteronomy, and it's a tired expression for many of us, we read Lo b'shamayim hi, that the Torah is not in heaven. I'm not going to cite the famous Talmudic passage because it's been cited so many times before. The nature of what it means to say to someone, the Torah is not in heaven, nor is it across the ocean that it's far from you. It's not over the sea. It's not in the heavens. These are living, breathing things because we have made them into that. I frankly am very concerned about the future of the Talmud. Not for the people on the Long Island Railroad car. They're going to be okay. I'm concerned that this document will go the way of the Britannica in American society because we have not said, even if we don't study it, this is the foundation of our faith. This is the rabbinic interpretation that made the Bible alive for us. And it can't stop. The conversation can't stop. We have to be literate enough, thoughtful enough, engaged enough to say, whatever Jewish learning has to be, it will be something for me. It will be something for those that I lead. This conversation did not stop. It simply didn't. It didn't stop thousands of years ago because there are rabbis today who are taking these principles and extracting them and distilling them and discussing IVF treatment and heart surgery and technology and whether or not you need an Eruv on the moon and how to kosher a microwave for Passover. Those are all real questions. And there really is someone asking the question about how you construct an Eruv in zero gravity. So the fact is that to make a living document, whether it's the Constitution or the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, the Talmud, requires our investment. And it requires not only an intellectual investment, it requires an investment of the heart. You know, when I was little, and when my children were little, and you take them to shul, they can't read. They don't know how to read. They don't know Hebrew. They know if the environment is warm. They know if it's a place they want to be. And we'd always make a point when the Torah, the Ark was opened, that our children would run up and try to kiss the Torah. I don't know if many of you have had this experience, because the primary expression of connection to a text is the love that we have for it. It's not the intellectualization of it, it's the love that we have for it which allows it to live within us. That's an expression of love that I'm inviting all of you to experience. You don't have to love the statement of principles. It's not a romance. But on some level, when we think about what Alan was up here saying, what appeared up here, what are going to be the commentaries that you're going to write? Your community will write, your board will write, your constituent population, your preschoolers. How do we surround that page, and what's at the center of that page? So I invite you to think a little bit, using the Talmud as an instructive example of what it means to create principles, to debate principles, to fall in love with principles, to hate principles, to make principles part of your lives, because we have been doing that for millennia, and we're not about to stop now. This is just the beginning of a conversation that will continue. I invite you to make this page alive, to allow the statement of principles to live in you, to write your Talmud, and in so doing, to continue a vast and beautiful tradition. Our future is where our past is. Thank you.
Erica, thank you for helping to educate and inspire us to be better and more informed leaders. We were thrilled you were able to be with us as our first keynote speaker. Dr. Brown will be signing books in the back of the room immediately after the plenary, and her 3 books, along with those other keynote speakers, will be available for sale throughout the biennial at the registration desk. And now, announcement time. For security purposes, we want to remind you to please wear your badges at all time. You'll need them to enter at all events. When we finish here, join us in the Jefferson Ballroom on the 3rd floor for Jay's Steakhouse, which features the menu of JCC Association programs and services available to all the JCC stakeholders. Find out everything you can take advantage of as an affiliated JCC. There's more than you know. Collect handouts and take that useful information back to your JCC. JCC Steakhouse works like speed dating. You'll be able to experience 3 different 15-minute presentations. At the end of each 15-minute period, there will be a signal and participants will move on to a different table. At 5:30 p.m., you are invited to join us on the 3rd floor for our honorees reception. The exhibit hall will also be open, so please make sure you take the time to stop in and see our vendors. We will toast our honorees at 6:30. Tomorrow morning, you will have an opportunity to learn from and share best practices with other JCCs in your size of city group. Take advantage of this rare opportunity to share successful programs, strategies, and initiatives in JCCs today from the leaders of your fellow JCCs. Please use the time when you're not in a session to get to know your fellow delegates. At our honorees reception, for instance, when you got to dinner tonight and tomorrow night, when you're strolling on Bourbon Street with a hurricane in your hand, enjoy your evening and check your program book for all that is happening early tomorrow morning and throughout the day on Monday. Thank you to everyone for getting us started on a wonderful note. Enjoy New Orleans, and we will see you at the Steakhouse.